Skyridge is the rarest English Pokemon set ever printed. Today, we're counting down the 15 most expensive cards from it. And some of these prices, they're going to blow your mind. So first, let me give you some context. What even is Skyridge? Skyridge came out in 2003. It was the very last set made by Wizards of the Coast. They were handling Pokemon cards before the Pokemon Company took over. This set had e-reader functionality. You could scan the cards with a Game Boy Advance attachment. So, buckle up. Grab some snacks, because this is going to be a wild ride. So we're starting with the cheap cards. And when I say cheap, I need you to understand something. The cheapest card on this list costs more than most people spend on groceries for a month. Alright, position number 15, Reverse Holo Fortress. This card will run you about $200 to $250 in near mint condition. Why? Because it's a reverse holo and the artwork is actually really clean. Plus, Fortress has a decent fan following. Position 14, Reverse Holo Nidoking. Another reverse holo, another fan favorite, $220 to $280. Number 13, Reverse Holo Piloswine. This one surprised me, $250 to $300. The holo pattern on this one is Chef's Kiss. Position 12, Reverse Holo Steelix, $280 to $320. See, we're already climbing fast. And at number 11, we have a reverse holo Kabutops that costs between $320 and $400, depending on condition. And this is where we start seeing the real scarcity factor kick in. Okay, hold on. I need to point something out. We just covered 5 cards. The cheapest was $200. The most expensive was $400. You know what else costs $200 to $400? Holo Rare, Charizards from some other vintage sets. Base, set 2 Charizard, around $300. Legendary Collection Charizard, about $400. Think about that. These Stage 1 Evolution Reverse Holos are competing with Charizard prices. That's insane. That should tell you everything you need to know about how rare Skyridge actually is. When a card nobody's heard of costs the same as a Charizard, that's not normal. That's Skyridge. So we've covered the entry level, 5 cards. Already over $1,000 if you wanted to buy them all. But here's the thing, we haven't even scratched the surface. The next tier, this is where casual collectors tap out. This is where the serious money starts. Welcome to the $500 club. Actually, scratch that. Welcome to the $500 to $1,500 club. Because we're about to talk about cards that cost as much as a laptop. And people buy them. All the time. Position number 10, Holo Rare Crobat. This holo rare will cost you between $500 and $650. The artwork features incredible detail and Crobat has a dedicated fan base which drives the price up. Number 9, Holo Rare Raichu, $600 to $750. What's wild about this one is how the holo pattern interacts with the artwork. Position 8, Holo Rare Umbreon, $700 to $900. Okay, this one needs its own moment because it's not even a crystal card and it's already approaching 4 figures. Number 7, Holo Rare Kabutops, $800 to $1,100. See how fast we're climbing? We went from $500 to over $1,000 in just 4 cards. And at position 6, we have Holo Rare Gengar that sits between $1,100 and $1,500 depending on condition. And here's why it's special. The combination of artwork, Pokemon popularity, and scarcity makes this one of the most sought after non-crystal cards in the set. Here's why this section matters more than the others. At the $200 to $500 level, you're a collector. You love Pokemon. You want cool cards. That's great. At the $500 to $1,500 level, you're a serious collector. You're dedicated, you're doing research, you know what you're doing. But at the $2,000 plus level, you're an investor, whether you admit it or not. Because here's the thing, at this price point, every decision matters. Every dollar of overpayment hurts. Every condition issue cuts the value dramatically. A tiny edge scratch on a $200 card? Annoying, but whatever, drops the value by $20. A tiny edge scratch on a $3,000 card? That's $800 gone, just like that. So we need to talk about what you're actually paying for, and whether it's worth it. Okay, let's talk about what makes these top 5 cards different. One word, crystal. Crystal cards are the crown jewels of the e-reader era. They only appeared in 2 sets, Aquapolis and Skyridge. That's it. They never brought them back. These cards have a see-through effect in the artwork. The Pokemon looks like it's made of glass or ice. It's this incredible printing technique that no other cards have. They're beautiful, they're rare, and collectors lose their minds over them. Position number 5, Crystal Nidoking. This crystal card will cost you between $2,000 and $2,500 in near mint condition. What makes this one special is the incredible artwork combined with the crystal effect, creating a visual experience that's unmatched in the TCG. Plus, Nidoking has always had a dedicated following in the community. Number 4, Crystal Lugia. Now we're talking $2,500 to $3,200. And here's something wild about this card's price history. In 2015, this card was selling for around $300. $300? Today, over $3,000. That's a 900% return in less than a decade. Show me a stock that did that. Go ahead, I'll wait. This is why people treat these like investments, because they perform like investments. And at position 3, we have Crystal Golem. This beauty will set you back anywhere from $3,200 to $4,000. The crystal effect on this one is particularly stunning. The way the light interacts with the see-through portions creates this almost three-dimensional effect. And Golem's rock-type aesthetic really enhances the crystal mechanic in a unique way. Alright, we are down to the final 2 cards, but before we get there, if you're still watching, please do me a favor and hit that subscribe button and like button. Alright, the final 2, let's do this. We've reached the peak. These final 2 cards aren't just expensive, they're legendary. They're the cards that every serious Skyridge collector dreams about owning. They're the holy grails. One of them costs as much as a used car. The other, well, you'll see. Position number 2, Crystal Ho-Oh. This card will cost you between $5,000 and $6,500. $5,000 to $6,000 for a Pokemon card. First, it's a crystal card. We've talked about how rare those are. Second, it features Ho-Oh, one of the most beloved legendary Pokemon in the entire franchise. The Rainbow Phoenix that represents rebirth and hope. The combination of popularity and scarcity creates massive demand. Third, the artwork is phenomenal. The crystal effect enhances Ho-Oh's rainbow feathers in a way that makes this one of the most visually striking cards in the entire set. But here's what really sets this card apart. Ho-Oh has deep connections to the Johto region and the generation it represents, especially for fans who grew up with gold and silver. So there's this extra layer of nostalgia built in. Plus, this card was notoriously hard to pull. Even in 2003, this was the chase card, the one everyone wanted, the one nobody got. I want you to think about this card like a piece of art, not like a baseball card, not like a collectible toy, like actual art. Would you pay $6,000 for a painting? Some people would. If it's from a famous artist from a specific period and there aren't many copies, that painting becomes valuable not just because it's pretty, but because it's a piece of history. Same thing here. This isn't just a Pokemon card. This is a piece of TCG history. If I had $6,000 sitting around, which, let's be honest, I don't, would I buy this card? I don't know. That's a lot of money. That's a down payment on a car. That's a really nice vacation. That's 6 months of rent for some people. But at the same time, this card isn't getting cheaper. They're not printing more. Every year, more copies get damaged or lost. The supply only goes down. So from a pure investment standpoint, it might actually be smart. But that's a decision everyone has to make for themselves. Alright, position number 1. This is it. The most expensive card in Skyridge. The crown jewel. The final boss. You ready? Crystal Char Izzard. Price $8,000 to $12,000. $10,000. For a Pokemon card from 2003. Yeah. Okay, let's break down why this card commands this price. First, it's a crystal card, the rarest type of card from this era. Second, it features Charizard, one of the most iconic Pokemon ever created, the poster child of the franchise, the card everyone wants. Third, the artwork and crystal effect on this card is considered the best in the entire set. Maybe the best in any set. Look at how the crystal effect works with Charizard's flames and wings. The light catches it differently depending on the angle. It's mesmerizing. Fourth, this card has become a status symbol in the collecting community. Owning this card, it puts you in an elite tier of collectors. But price aside, this card represents something bigger. Skyridge came out in 2003. Pokemon's popularity had crashed. The initial craze was over. Most kids had moved on, so this set barely got printed. Stores barely ordered it. Most of the print run sat in a warehouse somewhere. This card, this specific crystal card, could have ended up in a bargain bin. $5. Nobody wants it. Now it's worth the price of a used Honda Civic. That's the Pokemon TCG for you. That's why this hobby is so wild. Here's the thing about card number 1. You don't have to own it to appreciate it. You don't have to spend $10,000 to understand why it matters. This card is like a museum piece. You can look at pictures online, you can watch videos of people opening it, you can learn about it, study it, appreciate the artwork and the history. And that appreciation, that knowledge, that's free. There's a famous story in the Pokemon collecting community. About 5 years ago, a guy found a sealed Skyridge booster box at an estate sale. He paid $50 for it. $50. He takes it home. He's freaking out because he knows Skyridge is rare. He films himself opening the packs. First pack, nothing special. Second pack, couple hollows, pretty cool. Third pack, Crystal Char Izzard. This guy paid $50 for a box and pulled a $10,000 card. The video went viral in the collecting community. People were losing their minds. Some were celebrating with him, others were insanely jealous. That story gets told all the time because it represents the dream, the what if, the possibility that somewhere out there, there's still sealed Skyridge product with these cards inside. That's the magic of vintage Pokemon. Okay, I need to share the most mind-blowing realization I had while researching this video. In 2003, when Skyridge came out, you could buy a booster pack for $3.29. $3.29. That pack had a chance, a very small chance, to contain this card. This $10,000 card. Fast forward to today. A sealed Skyridge booster pack, if you can even find one, costs about $500 to $700. That's a 20,000% increase in 21 years. But here's what blows my mind. The cards inside, they've increased even more. This card was maybe worth $200 in 2010. Now it's $10,000. That's a 5,000% increase in just 14 years. People talk about Bitcoin, people talk about real estate, people talk about stocks, but vintage Pokemon cards, they've been one of the best performing alternative investments of the past 2 decades. And nobody was paying attention. The collectors knew, the smart money knew, but the mainstream, they thought it was just kids' cards. That's why knowledge matters. That's why research matters. That's why you watch videos like this. Look, I want to be real with you for a second. Most of us are never going to own card number 1, or card number 2, or probably even card number 5, and that's completely okay. Being a collector isn't about owning the most expensive cards. It's about appreciating the hobby, learning the history, the rarity, the prices. It's all so interesting to me, and hopefully it's interesting to you too. Skyridge represents the end of an era. It was Wizards of the Coast final set, the last time they'd print Pokemon cards. After this, the Pokemon Company took over and everything changed. So this set has this bittersweet quality to it. It's a last hurrah, the final chapter. And because of that, these cards will only get more valuable. The supply can only go down. Cards get damaged, get lost, get destroyed. But they're never making more Skyridge. That's why the prices keep climbing. That's why people treat these like investments. 20 years from now, these cards are going to be even more expensive. That's not a prediction. That's just math. Limited supply plus increasing demand equals higher prices. Every time. Alright, we made it. 15 cards. From $200 to $10,000. Skyridge in all its expensive glory. Yeah, I want to know, which card from this list surprised you the most? Which one do you think is overpriced? Which one is actually a bargain? Drop a comment and let me know. I read every single one, and I love hearing what you all think. Thanks for watching, and until next time, happy collecting.